Well, we're on our way over to see our friend Adam Pinales.
Yes.
And last week you saw the blue Mustang that we're getting ready for the Rat Fink reunion. And he's the one that did all of the body work and painting and most of the restoration work on the car.
Yes.
And he just moved.
He did.
And it's a nice house.
Yes, he got his own house.
Got his own house.
Yes, on that chunk of real estate.
But he's always wanted to do yard railroads. And by that I do mean 2 different railroads.
Right.
In 2 different scales and gauges and so on. And now he's got a place to do that. So we're going to go out and check out what he's been up to.
Yes.
Oh, man.
So this is Adam's first layout. This is his N scale layout.
That's really a fun looking layout.
It's come a long way in a year.
It sure has, from just a box to an actual layout.
Right now there's sort of a mixture of 1950s equipment and later equipment, 1990s equipment. We'll have to come back and explain that in a minute.
Now check out that beacon on top. It's actually 4 LEDs according to Adam. Isn't that cool?
It looks like it's actually rotating. This is going to be a multi-tiered layout. Right now Adam mostly just has the lower tier in, but look at all the hand-laid track.
That is just totally awesome. How in the world do you do that with tweezers?
He actually uses this system here. It's called Fast Track. The system uses these jigs. You place cross ties made out of circuit board material in along with the rail, and then you solder the whole thing up in the jig. That is then moved to the layout and attached to the roadbed, and then wooden ties are slid in to fill in the missing spaces.
It sure looks impressive once he gets it put together.
It sure does, and he's using very fine rail. The switch here in the foreground is code 30, only 30 thousandths of an inch high. These little blocks are used for making switches. Individual rail components are put in these blocks and then filed to shape. That forms the switch points and the frogs. And then those components are placed in these jigs, and once again cross ties made of circuit board material are soldered to that. The switches can then be glued in place, and then again the missing wooden ties just slid underneath the rails.
And for the regular main line, he's just using Flex Track.
Yeah, much simpler and looks great and doesn't require anything special because it's just the main line. But wherever there are yards or switches, it's all hand-laid. Adam's original goal was to recreate the entire Denver and Rio Grande roster in 1952. Every locomotive and every piece of rolling stock. Once he completed that little task, he decided to also create the roster in 1995. And so now he's been adding in some of these more modern locomotives and even some of the other railroads that the Rio Grande interchanged with, like the Southern Pacific.
Adam just purchased the entire Digitrack system to run the whole thing on.
Which is really neat because he can run the entire railroad, including all the lights and everything, just from his cell phone. So let's get back to Adam's obsession with creating the entire roster in 1955. These are drop-bottom gondolas. He needed about 150 of those to pull this off in 3 different styles. He was missing the 3rd style, which is this one here. So what he did is he 3D printed these, painted them black, and then placed custom digital decals on them with the appropriate car numbers. 60 different drop-bottom gondolas to finish out the roster of over 150 drop-bottom gondolas.
He's been working on this collection for years, but just never had a railroad to run it on.
And now he's got so much rolling stock and motive power, I don't think he could put it all on the track if he wanted to. It'd just be way too much. But it certainly has become quite an impressive collection of rolling stock. Again, I just have no idea how he's going to run it all on the railroad. Everywhere you look down here, there are boxes and boxes of rolling stock. There are boxes stashed pretty much everywhere you look. And of course, there's way more to a railroad than just trains and track. So now he's also constructing structures and other trackside details.
It's so neat to see this running so smoothly, and the fact that he runs it from a cell phone.
Yeah, because it's Wi-Fi, I assume that means he could run it from anywhere in the world, but at least he can run it from anywhere in the basement, and that's the real key.
I do have a Wi-Fi lighting system that's getting installed in here too.
Now, I don't think those two locomotives on the back track are exactly engaged.
Not really. They look a little big.
A little bit large. Adam has also been collecting for quite some period of time 120.3 Rio Grande narrow gauge locomotives, and he wants to run those on one of his other railroads. He's collected perhaps a dozen locomotives. This is a Bachmann K27. The other locomotive here is an Accucraft K37. What a massive, massive engine.
This is the scale we're building our railroad in at Garage Mahal.
Yeah, it's so fun because look at the detail. You can just do so much with these giant locomotives. Sort of hard to fit them in, but they're just incredible. And since they don't fit inside very well, Adam's building another railroad out in the yard here.
Lit based on that. So I'll have power out here, and then I'll have all the lights all around the walkway.
So Adam has dug out this low area here with a terrace, and the tracks will mount up here on the terrace. Pretty much just a big loop of track going around. But over here is another grade for the third railroad. A 2.5 inch to the foot scale live steam railroad that goes around the perimeter of the property. In this area will be a trestle, and he's already started on that as well. Well, that is very impressive.
It sure is.
Jeez.
He has done a lot of work.
Well, and he's kicking himself. I didn't get the N-scale railroad ready for the N-scale convention, which is coming up here in just like 3 weeks.
Right.
The national N-scale. So it was a goal worth achieving.
Well,
but how do you build an entire railroad in a year?
I think he could do it the way he moves.
Well, except that while he's been building, and he almost got all the benchwork and track in, that's 99% in.
Yes.
And while all of that was going forward, he remodeled the entire house.
Yeah.
Tore out all the landscaping, put
Yeah.
in new landscaping, which includes the grade for the 7.5 inch gauge railroad.
Oh my.
Started the bridges for those, put in all of the grading and terracing and everything for the 20th scale railroad, and restored somebody's Mustang.
Yeah, he's been a little bit busy.
I don't know how he does it.
Well, plus he's got a wife and kids, and everybody's home.
And he works full time.
You know,
he's been cloned. He's been cloned.
There's a twin there
that's the only
somewhere.
possible explanation is there's two of
It's
him.
a possibility, high possibility.
Anyway, we will be following up as he goes forward because I fully suspect that over the next 12 to 14 hours he'll finish all of it.
Yeah, he might.
So we'll get back out there and we'll follow up on the amazing progress on these amazing railroads and all of this stuff. And we're heading up to Cheyenne, Wyoming to check on the big boy. We're leaving here in just a few hours.
Right.
We talked to Ed Dickens up there and he says, yeah, come on up and I'll show you what. Because they're actually putting the boiler back together as we speak, and they'll be testing the boiler here. It looks like they're on track
Yes.
for May 10th next year.
No pun intended.
Yep. Okay, pun intended.
Pun intended, yes. They're almost on track.
Now, as we post all this fun follow-up stuff, you want to be notified.
Yes.
And the way to get notified is to be a subscriber to the channel.
Right.
Because A, it makes you cool, and B, you get notified whenever we put something up. And we're going to be putting up more news. I'm going to try to use the community tab more than we've been doing.
Right.
Posting news of all these things, how the big boy's doing and that sort of thing. So, to get connected to all of that, you want to make sure that you're a subscriber. The easy peasy way to become a totally free and unobligated subscriber to the channel is to click on the newfangled round blue button.
Yes, it's
that
fancy.
Google made us use. We're okay with it.
Oh, it's fine now.
It's
I'm getting
fine.
used to
I'm
it.
getting used to it. I sort of grieve the old blue button.
We can make stickers.
But this is fun. Yeah, it's a good sticker. Anyway, here's the new blue button. You ready for it? Zoink! That round blue with the red rocket ship is the new subscriber.
That's the new button.
Click on that, makes you a subscriber. Well, we're not sure how you found this movie on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring. And we will see you here again on Tuesday. We're going to be messing around with some River Rossi trains.
Yes.
See you then.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.